Hello, this is Joe Pearson, the project planner for this application. This is a request for an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny a request for a major modification to a special use permit to allow for modifications to an existing 2,450 square foot drive-through fast food restaurant building and to allow for the operation of a Starbucks drive-through coffee shop. The appeal was filed by the property owner and applicant, who for the purposes of this request is the appellant. The project site is currently developed with an existing Wendy's drive-through restaurant and associated infrastructure improvements. The project is located in the El Rio West neighborhood, and the project is located within the commercial general land use designation and general commercial plan development zoning district. Both the land use designation and zoning district allow for restaurants, including drive-through facilities with a special use permit. As shown, the project site is bordered by shopping centers to the south and the east, other drive-through facilities to the west, and residential to the north across the alley. The proposed improvements would have consisted of a series of site changes to convert the existing Wendy's restaurant into a Starbucks drive-through coffee shop. The changes included a small 50 square foot addition to allow for the relocation of the drive-through pickup window and exterior improvements to renovate the building with new colors and materials. The site layout would have also been reconfigured to allow for a larger vehicle queue. The revised drive-through lane would increase the queuing capacity from 5 vehicles to 16 vehicles. Other changes included revised signage, upgraded landscaping, and new parking lot striping. In addition to this request, the project was requesting administrative parking relief to allow for 2 modifications. The first was to allow for a decrease in the number of required parking spaces from 50 parking spaces to 35 parking spaces, including 15 spaces which are provided via the drive-through queue. The second was to allow for 11 of the required parking spaces to be compact parking spaces. So for an overview of the timeline, on February 12th, 2021, Starbucks filed a request to allow for modifications to the existing drive-through fast food restaurant building to allow for the operation of a Starbucks drive-through coffee shop. Consistent with city process, on March 3rd, 2021, and then again on May 26, 2021, after the project was resubmitted, the project was reviewed by the Development Advisory Committee. Then on July 19, 2021, the project was presented to the public during the city's community workshop meeting. Then after 3 public hearings, which I'll go into more on later in this presentation, on January 13, 2022, the Planning Commission denied the request for the major modification. On October 21st, 2021, the Commission held a public hearing to consider the requested major modification. Staff originally presented the project to the Commission with a recommendation for approval. However, at that hearing, the Commission made a motion to continue the project to the Commission's meeting on November 4th, 2021, at the request of the applicant. This was to allow for time for the applicant team and city staff to review and modify the proposed conditions. These revised conditions were then incorporated into the November 4th Planning Commission packet. At the November 4th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting, the Commission reviewed all the information provided in the staff report and received a presentation from Starbucks representatives, as well as reviewed other pertinent information and deliberate the merits of the project. No verbal or written comments from the public were provided before or during the public comment period of the hearing. Following the applicant's presentation and deliberations, the Commission voted on 3 motions. The first 2 motions were a motion of intent to deny the project and a motion to approve the project. However, both of these motions failed as a result of 2 tie votes of 3-3, with 1 planning commissioner being absent. A third motion was approved to continue the item to the Commission's meeting of December 2nd, 2021, where all 7 members of the Commission would be present. On December 2nd, 2021, all 7 members of the Planning Commission were present. The commissioner who was not present at the November 4th meeting confirmed that they reviewed the materials and watched the video of the Commission's November 4th meeting. The Commission was provided with a presentation from the applicant team to supplement their previous presentation. The Commission provided an opportunity for public testimony, deliberated, and made a motion of intent to deny the project as they could not make all of the findings required to grant the major modification. Specifically, the Planning Commission found that they could not make required findings number 2, 3, and 4 related to concerns about safety and general welfare, parking and loading facilities, and traffic, respectively. And I will go into these more later. Because a resolution for denial was not available, the Commission continued the project to the January 13th, 2022 meeting to ratify the directed action. On January 13th, 2022, the Commission voted 4-3 to adopt a resolution to deny the project, which has been provided in Attachment B of the staff report. On January 19th, 2022, the appellant filed a timely appeal application with the city, which has also been included in the staff report, along with a supplemental letter that the applicant submitted on January 27th, 2022. The supplemental letter did not raise any additional appeal items, but provided additional narrative to their appeal application. The appellant has appealed the decision of the Planning Commission, primarily because the appellant believes the findings can be made to approve the project. The appellant's application provides 5 grounds of appeal, which are provided here verbatim. On the next few slides, I will be going through each of the grounds of appeal shown and a summary of staff's responses to each. Further details can be found in the provided staff report. The first ground of appeal is the applicant states this project, Starbucks at Vineyard/River Park, meets all of the requirements of the zoning code and the general plan. As staff has identified in the staff report, this is incorrect. As discussed in the Planning Commission staff report and presented to the Planning Commission, the project fails to meet 3 requirements of the Oxnard City Code. The project as designed does not provide the required 50 parking spaces. The proposed parking does not meet the required standard parking space dimensions. And the project does not provide a designated loading space which is required for all restaurants. While the Oxnard City Code does allow for modifications to these requirements, the discretion to grant or deny each of the modifications is provided to the Planning Commission. Therefore, without the Planning Commission's approval of the 3 modifications, the project does not meet all of the requirements of the Oxnard City Code. Also, with respect to compliance with the 2030 General Plan, the existing development fails to provide a 30-foot landscape buffer along the designated scenic corridor of North Vineyard Avenue. This is considered to be a legal nonconforming existing condition. The proposed project did not increase the nonconformity. Rather, the project provided additional landscaping and improvements to mitigate the reduced buffer width. However, the project did not provide the full 30-foot buffer. And in conclusion, the Commission was not able to grant the administrative parking relief modifications and cannot make the required findings necessary to grant the special use permit or the major modification. The second ground of appeal is the applicant states, "We have been working with planning staff for the last 18 months to get the proposed project to a point that met the city standards and requirements." Staff response is, while city staff did have preliminary conversations with the applicant team, including an initial request to allow for a minor modification, the formal application for the major modification was submitted on February 12th, 2021. The time of the initial submission to the first scheduled hearing was approximately 8 months. However, staff acknowledges that city staff, including members of the city's Development Advisory Committee, or DAC, worked through an iterative process with the applicant team to explore both alternate site designs and parking/queue management strategies. This included multiple reviews by the city team, time for the applicant to revise and resubmit submittal materials and study project alternatives, and the required community workshop. Ultimately, the iterative approach resulted in a project that staff could provide an approval recommendation to the Commission. The Permit Streamlining Act provides timelines for processing quasi-judicial discretionary projects, which effectively guarantees an opportunity to a public hearing in which decision makers may decide whether to approve or deny a project within 6 months of an application being deemed complete. The project was deemed complete once the project design stopped changing, as it was found to be acceptable to both the applicant and city staff, and it was immediately scheduled for a public hearing at the next available Commission agenda, which occurred well within the statutory 6-month timeframe. In conclusion, the application was processed in a timely manner consistent with the Permit Streamlining Act. None of the Commission's required findings necessary to grant a special use permit relate to processing timelines. In the third ground of appeal, the appellant states, the denial by the Planning Commission was based on personal biases. Staff's response is, the appeal application fails to provide any evidence to support this claim and therefore lacks any grounds to make this claim. As supported by the record, the appellant's assertion that the denial was based on personal bias is incorrect. The Commission formulated their reasoning for their decision to deny the project based on the inability to make 3 specific findings based on substantial evidence and testimony as documented within the Planning Commission resolution. The Commission could not make the second finding because they found the proposed project would adversely affect and be materially detrimental to public health, safety, and general welfare due to the potential for cars entering into the project site to back up onto the public right-of-way, thus adversely affecting the adjacent roadways and the East or Vineyard Avenue and River Park Boulevard intersection, which is one of the busiest in the city. Also, the commission cannot make the third finding because they found that the site is not adequate in size and shape to accommodate the parking and loading facilities required pursuant to the Oxnard City Code. The commission cannot make the fourth finding because they found that the project would create or significantly aggravate traffic problems in the adjacent roadways and intersections, which would have a direct and adverse impact on the adjacent highways, including US 101 and CA 232. Any assertion that the commission is biased against Starbucks or other drive-thru facilities is not supported by the facts. At the following commission hearing, held on January 20th, 2022, the same commissioners voted unanimously, with one member absent, to approve two other drive-thru facilities, including a Starbucks coffee shop at 1720 Ventura Boulevard, as they could make the required findings for approval for those specific projects. In the fourth ground of appeal, the applicant states the site has been being used as a drive-thru restaurant for many years. Staff's response is, while it's true that the existing site has been developed and operated as a drive-thru since the 1980s, the appellant's implication that there would be no impacts with the proposed Starbucks compared to the existing operations is incorrect. That implication is incorrect because as the existing and proposed operational characteristics are not equivalent. Based on known operational characteristics of existing Starbucks drive-thru coffee shops operating in the city of Oxnard and beyond, as well as parking and queuing data provided by the appellant, the project would significantly increase demand at this site. Based on information provided by the appellant, the morning drive-thru demand during the morning peak times would range from 10 to 18 vehicles, far exceeding the existing 5-vehicle queue length. Given the anticipated increase in the drive-thru demand associated with the proposed Starbucks coffee shop, the existing configuration resulted in inadequate vehicular queuing for the project. Therefore, there is clear evidence that the proposed project would result in significant intensification of the drive-thru use on site compared to the existing operations. In conclusion, the commission found that the proposed operational characteristics were different from the existing operational characteristics, and for the reasons provided in their resolution of denial, the commission cannot make all of the required findings, and this statement or the applicant's grounds of appeal fails to address or dispute any of the findings for denial. The applicant's fifth ground of appeal states this project would enhance the site with a new facade, new landscaping, better site design for the trash enclosure and drainage, new fire apparatus, safer for consumers, and is exceeding the amount of queuing spaces 3 times the required amount. Staff response is the commission acknowledged the physical improvements to the site that would be undertaken as part of the project would enhance the aesthetics of the site and result in improved site conditions with respect to the trash enclosure, drainage, and fire improvements. However, for the reasons provided in their resolution of denial, the commission could not make all the required findings. This statement, again, fails to address or dispute the findings for denial. With respect to the project exceeding the amount of queuing spaces 3 times the required amount, the project as designed provided 16 queuing spaces. The Oxnard City Code requires a minimum of 8 stacking or queuing spaces. So while the project as designed does exceed the minimum number of queuing spaces, it does not provide 3 times the spaces. Also, while the Oxnard City Code does have a code requirement of only 8 stacking spaces or queuing spaces, in order to make the findings required for approval, each individual project must show that sufficient stacking or queuing is available to meet the project demand. Therefore, on a project-by-project basis, additional stacking or queuing may be required to ensure the project will not have an adverse impact on adjacent uses, buildings, structures, or to the public health, safety, or general welfare. Based on the analysis provided, including the staff report, the appeal lacks merit, and the commission's determination on January 13th, 2022 should remain unchanged. Thus, staff recommends that the City Council find there is no merit to the appellant's grounds of appeal and the appeal should not overturn the decision of the commission to deny the project. Furthermore, the City Council staff report attachments and specific findings outlined in the City Council resolution provides substantial evidence in the record for the City Council to conclude that not all of the required special use permit findings found in the Oxnard City Code have been made. Staff believes that the required findings are well documented, and the City Council is in a position to deny the requested special use permit. Thus, staff recommends that City Council finds there's no merit to the appellant's grounds of appeal, deny the appeal, and uphold the decision of the Planning Commission to deny the project with the specific findings outlined in the resolution. And pursuant to the Oxnard City Code, the decision of the City Council is final.